I watched that footage, and I suspect, like most of your viewers, I was absolutely overjoyed to see it. It's about time that sort of thing happened, because we have a real problem in this country at the moment. We have police not turning up unless it's something incredibly important, like organised crime gangs, like county lines, or like misgendering, for instance. But when it comes to things like shoplifting, you cannot rely on the police arriving. Now, the public knows this, but more to the point, the criminal also knows this. There is no expectation of being caught. Shoplifting is a $1 billion industry in this country, around about £950 million. That's more than the Brinkmax robbery. Way more. Because it comes in dribs and drabs, it's not given the serious attention that it should be given. So it's no wonder, really, that the public are doing the job that the police are paid to do.
Yes, the Co-op supermarket have talked about 1,000 incidents a day. Do the public who step in deserve more legal protection? Because, Harry, as you know, quite often if you apprehend somebody that's breaking the law, you're the one that could get in trouble.
No, not really, because we've always had the right, as the public, to make an arrest when there is a crime taking place. We're allowed to do that now.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100% certain, yes. This is something that is misunderstood. The police operate, for the most part, on common law powers of arrest. So when a theft is taking place, the police operate under the same power that the general public operate under. That, for instance, store detectives operate under. We are allowed to make these arrests, providing that we have reasonable suspicion that a crime is taken place. If it is taking place, we can make the arrest. Now, the worrying thing here is that with the increase in knife crime and violent crime, up, according to some, 25% in the year, we have to be a little bit careful. We have to do a on-the-spot risk assessment, whether or not we, as the members of the public, we don't carry tasers, we don't have radio communications, we don't have a baton or anything like that, we don't have any body protection. We have to make a risk assessment. Should we get involved? Now, that is something that you have to do on an incident-by-incident basis. But in principle, I think it's absolutely right that members of the public step in and collar these nutters. They've every right to do so, and I think, absent of the police doing it, the public should consider doing it.
I had the Coronation Street actor Charlie Lawson on my show a few days ago, and he said if you see someone shoplifting, you should beat the crap out of them. I said that that's not a good idea. That would be against the law. Surely you wouldn't encourage that?
No, of course you don't need to beat the crap out of them. What you're allowed to do, you are allowed to use reasonable force. Reasonable force to stop the theft taking place and to detain the miscreant until the police arrive. You are allowed to do that. Now, the force will always be relative to the amount of force, the amount of resistance that the shoplifter is exerting on you to get away. But in principle, you are absolutely right. You can use whatever reasonable force is necessary to stop the theft and detain the person until the police arrive. But, and again, this is the word of caution, we have to be careful because knife crime is on the increase.
If you had a loved one that was witnessing a shoplifting incident, would you want them to act? What if they got stabbed to death?
Well, exactly. That's why I say you have to do a risk assessment.
Well, how do you do that, Harry? You haven't got X-ray specs, have you?
No, you don't. You don't have X-ray specs. No, but you've got to make a judgment. You've got to make a judgment. If it's somebody who's tooled up, I'm going to step back and simply take notes about who they are. If it's somebody that I consider to be just an opportunist thief, I will consider whether I'm able to physically overpower them and stop them. Everybody has to make that risk assessment. I'm not advising members of the public to go racing in where angels fear to tread. Not at all. But we have the right to do that. And the other thing is this. Where are our police? I remember when I was a police officer, you hadn't done a shift unless you'd nabbed, unless you'd collared a shoplifter. Now, in effect, shoplifting has been decriminalised. Lord Rose, the chairman of ASDA, has said precisely that shoplifting is so far down the list of what's important to the police, that in effect it's become decriminalised. Now then, Pride season is over, thank goodness. So hopefully the police may be able to turn their attention to solving and preventing crime. But I don't hold out too much hope.
Yeah, I mean, where are the police going wrong? Is it resource? Is it the culture? Is it policy?
All of that. All of that. I mean, the police are under-resourced. They're over-paperworked. They're expected to do a mental health analysis. They're expected to babysit people who've injured themselves whilst they've been committing a crime. Entire shifts are lost where police officers are babysitting, criminals at hospitals. Because all you need to do is say, oh, I've hurt my head, I banged my head. And then the police are obliged to look after the welfare of that person, take them to hospital, and before you know it, an entire shift has disappeared. So we have a systemic problem. We also have a political problem because there doesn't appear to be the political will to police and prosecute these so-called minor crimes. Well, they're not minor crimes. If you're a shopkeeper and you are having your stock taken away from you on a daily basis, it's not a minor crime, it's a major crime. It's a threat to your livelihood. So the police need to reprioritise. On this, Suella Brave is absolutely 100% correct. The police need to turn up to thefts, they need to turn up to burglaries, they need to turn up to all of the so-called small crimes. Now, in order to free up a little bit of time, they need to stop policing pronouns. They need to stop ringing up members of the public because they rejected a trans pride shopping bag, which is what happened just the other day in Nottingham. They need to stop going on pride marches. They need to stop attending Black Lives Matter critical race theory conferences. And they need to get out onto the street and doing the fundamental job that a police officer is paid to do. That is collaring criminals.
Harry, last but not least, can I ask you about the Met Police, who many years ago were described as institutionally racist, which is, of course, an enormous shame on that resource, an absolute disgrace. Do you think that British policing is now institutionally woke?
Yes, it's absolutely institutionally woke. 100%. And they tell us this. They fly the flags. They go on the conferences. They do absolutely everything within their power to turn our police force, our average British bobby, into a woke member of the Stasi. That's what's happening. There are so many conferences. There are so many marches. Police WhatsApp groups are being policed by one of the colleagues. If you tell an off-colour joke, for instance, there's a positive obligation for you to be reported. You can't exercise black humour. I don't know whether I'm supposed to say use the phrase black humour, by the way. That's where we're at, unfortunately. So, yes, we have a politically ideological police. We need to get rid of that, start again, and have the police policing crime. That's what we...
Harry Miller for Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, eat your heart out. Harry, thanks for your time. We'll catch up soon.